Hello, and welcome to Spin Hero for Beginners. This is a tutorial for people mostly who get to the battle screen and are wondering what's going on, and everyone's telling you just click spin, you'll figure it out. I'm going to break down that battle screen. But before that, I'm also going to talk a little about the hero screen and the map for people who are brand new to Spin Hero and this style of game, as I was. I'm going to do this in one sitting without editing. So if I get tongue-tied or have to take a drink of water, apologies in advance. If I make a mistake and you catch it, please let me know in the comments. I'll try to correct it myself if I catch my own mistake. I do have the music off. So in fairness to the developers, there is music in the game. I have the game speed all the way down, so we might be able to see some of the observations we're going to look for. You might want to turn the speed up after you've played it for a little while. If you have the ability, you might want to play along with this and just see how things go on your own screen and game, because the games will somewhat line up but not perfectly, so it could give you more information perhaps. If you're looking for tips, tricks, strategies, synergies, this is probably not the beginner video you want to be watching. You want to watch something else. For the rest of you, I will have timestamps, so if you just want to know what is going on in the battle screen, please feel free to jump ahead. Won't bother me a bit. I am ready. Let's click play. This should hold up for a prologue or the full version. Things may change a little, but the foundation should probably be intact. Hopefully they'll update some of the items, because some of the items seem to be not working correctly, and maybe they'll change some of this. But for now, when you start, your only hero option is Alaric, and all this information is standard. You can't edit any of it. I've unlocked 2 of these boons. You will only have plated armor, and there are no gambler's curses. I imagine even in the full version, these will be locked. And these may be locked until you level up Alaric anyway. So you may still just have this as your only information that you can not even manipulate. You can only accept and confirm and move on. But because I've leveled him up to 8, I've unlocked these 2. I will leave it on plated armor, since that's what everyone else would be starting with. And we will be talking about the information we see here in the plated armor. So we'll talk about the 65 health, the 25 magic. We'll talk about these 5 items that come standard with our hero Alaric, including Alaric's sword. And we'll talk about his hero bonus, Divine Grace, hero boon, plated armor, when we get to the battle screen. Before we get to the battle screen, let's talk just a little about the map or stage screen. So we are on stage 1 in the Ratfolk Woods. And regrettably, we do not have all the icons on the map, but we're only missing one, and I can explain what it is. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. We're not going to restart the video for that. So let's talk about the icons you'll see on the map first. Then we'll talk about how to navigate the map. So there's a brown icon of a skull, brown skull icon. There's a red skull. There could be a purple one, which will kind of have flies or something buzzing around it. And then there's the demon skull with the horns. There's chest with silver trim, chest with gold trim, and a shop stall. So the battles will be the skulls. So brown, red, purple if it were on here, and of course the ubiquitous boss battle. Brown skulls are the weakest enemy. Red skulls are somewhat more difficult. Purple skulls are elite battles and more difficult than the red, and then the boss would be more difficult than the purple. And when you move up in difficulty between brown, red, purple, and the boss, your rewards can also go up. and quite significantly. So you might want to think about hitting purple skulls to get better rewards than just going to brown skulls. But then again, they're going to be more difficult, so you might end your battle before you even get to the boss. Depends. The other thing, not only are the color of skulls representative of difficulty increases, as you progress from left to right along the map, the difficulty increases. So a brown skull at the far left of the map is significantly easier, or much easier, than a brown skull on the right side of the map. A red skull on the left side of the map could even be easier than a brown skull on the right side of the map. So just because it's a brown skull doesn't mean it's necessarily an easy battle, especially if it's on the far side near the boss. The closer you get to the boss, the harder the battles will become. So we not only need to ramp up our attack or damage we're dealing, we need to ramp up our armor as we progress along the map, because if we fail to increase one or the other, we could weaken ourselves so much that we're easy to pick off before we even get to the boss. So you may want to start to try to identify what kinds of attacks and what kinds of protections these battles have as you progress across the map and as you go through the stages, because when you beat a boss, you will advance to the next stage, and yet again, everything will ramp up. So there is a predictive measurement that you can kind of get a sense for. The boss is always going to have roughly this much attack and this much armor to know where you need to be prepared for that battle. The silver chests, when you reach them, are unlocked. So just by landing on that space, you will be able to open it and get the rewards. The gold chests have locks on them. So you will not be able to unlock those without, or open them without a key. Currently, there are 2 keys that I'm aware of in the game. One is a bronze key that's a single-use only key and will be deleted from your inventory once you open a gold chest with it. The other is the golden key, which is a permanent item and will not be deleted out of your inventory when you open all the gold chests. The last one is the shop, or the shop stall, and you can not only buy weapons and armor, you can buy runes, which we'll talk about later. We won't have those at the beginning, but we will try to at least get to the shop so I can explain them to you. And we can also buy restore our health or our magic, and a couple other options. So we'll get to the shop. We will definitely do that. So let's look at the 3 paths we have to get to the boss. So once we pick one, we can't jump to another path. We have to follow the dotted line. And so if we go from this brown skull to this one, and then we go to the red one, we can only go forward to the right to this one. We could not come back. We could not jump down. If we were to choose this top path, then we could not get to the shop because we would have to move backwards to get to it. The only 2 paths we have to get to the shop are the middle or the southern path. So the northern one for us is out because the shop is a place we want to stop. Sometimes I do not stop at the shop on the first stage especially, but for this video we're going to, so this is not an option. If we go this way, we can get 1 red skull battle for a little bit better item than the brown skull, and we would get if we chose, we could skip both red skull battles and go straight up the middle, get 4 brown skulls, and then hit the shop. This way we are guaranteed 4 brown skulls, and we get a golden chest should we have a key that we could unlock. So I think we'll take our chances and see if we can catch a key. we'll start here and we'll progress down to the shop. And once we got to the shop, we would be able to choose our path. We could either go up and across, we could go across the southern path, or we could go up, cut back for that extra battle, and then go the southern path. So let's start here and let's get into the battle screen. Welcome back to everyone who fast forward to the battle screen. Let's break all the stuff we have down here, and then we will try to predict what's going to happen when we click spin. So to begin with, here's a lyric again from when we were out choosing our hero. Here's the health, 65, the magic, 25. It did not show us a gold or runes, but he has none, so it didn't need to show it on the front screen anyway. Here's the 5 inventory we saw out there. And here are those 5 inventory items repopulated on this slot machine. And then here are 4 icons in a vertical bar or box beside the slot machine. We have our enemy. We have a spin button. This is for an automatic respin. We'll talk about that. And then we can see our map, but not select anything on it. And we can change our options from here. Let's start again at the top left and work our way through every aspect of what we see on the screen. And then we'll try to predict what's going to happen. So just in case someone's absolutely new to video games, when you have 2 numbers for your health, the left one is your current, the right one is your max. Same for your magic. These hero bonus and hero boon, I'm going to call them, the divine grace and the plated armor, we'll talk about in a little bit. The plated armor will relate to what's going on down here. The divine grace will relate to our health. So these 3 boxes, the inventory, the slot machine, and this, all have a direct relationship. Starting with our inventory, we notice we have 15 dots and 5 items for a total of 20. Only the items are counted, the dots are just placeholders. This slot machine has 20 spots on it. So it pulls from the inventory when we hit spin and populates this machine. If we had 20 items, we would have no dots. So as we put items into our inventory, it will take the dots out. Once we hit 20 items, we have no dots. When we hit 21 or more items, only 20 will be pulled for our slot machine. So the more items we have in our inventory, the more items that will not populate our slot machine every spin. So 28 items in our inventory, 8 items will randomly be left and not get onto the slot machine, which is why we potentially have a remove symbol. If you have items that are maybe weak or are impeding stronger items from populating your slot machine, then you could remove them. You cannot remove the dots, of course. This current juncture, we only have 1 remove symbol. We will potentially be given more remove symbols, and we can potentially buy remove symbols in the shop. The only reason I could think you'd remove a symbol right now would be as if you wanted to increase the difficulty for yourself. So let's not do that. Let's imagine we click the spin button, and this is how the inventory was populated into this slot machine. Let's take it one by one and explain how this slot machine works with this vertical bar with 4 icons. So everything is represented: the sword, the wand, the ring, the shield, the bread. The sword has a brown sword as an icon with the number 5 beside it. The brown sword represents strength. Many people would call that melee. it's represented over here by the crossed swords. So that's your strength attack. Any brown sword item, like a lyric sword, will populate their attack damage here. So when we spin and this sword lands here, it will populate this strength damage indicator with a 5. We have no agility damage. The bow here will be represented by a green bow where that brown sword is. So if we had one, that number would be populated here. The wand is a magic item. It's represented by the blue wand beside the number 7. So when this populates the wheel, it will put a number 7 here. So currently, the minimum damage we could do with the items we have is 12. 5 in strength, 7 in magic. This ring is a magic item, and one of its properties is if it's adjacent to a magic weapon, it synergizes with it and adds 2 damage. So, if this ring were in one of these boxes around that wand, then this 7 from the wand would turn into a 9, adding the 2 from the ring. So the maximum damage we can do in one spin is 14. We can determine from that it will take us 3 spins minimum to kill our enemy at his current health of 30. 2 spins of 14 would only get us to 28. We have no other way to deal damage at the moment. The minimum we can deal was 12. So even at the minimum, we would be able to kill him within 3 spins, because that would produce 36 damage if nothing changes. The shield is our armor, and it's represented by the blue shield with the number 7 beside it. That would populate here at this shield, which is a representative of our armor. However, we have plated armor as a boon, which adds 1 armor each spin for all armor symbols. So that's going to boost our 7 shield up to an 8. So this is going to become an 8. Recapping, we know this is a 5 from a lyric sword. We know that this is a 7, but if this ring were adjacent to this wand, it would be a 9. We know this is a 7 boosted to an 8 from the plated armor. The bread, it's a restorative. The green leaf symbolizes that it's a unique item. Not all green leaves will be restorative, but many are, like a food. And the number 5 at the top left represents how many uses it has. Restores 3 hit points when health is not full, 5 uses. So as the bread is being consumed, the number will decrease from 5 down to 0. When the number hits 0, the bread is permanently removed from our inventory, and we gain an inventory spot back. There are quite a few items in the game that do not work properly. The bread is one of them. We will probably see it, but I'm just going to highlight that now, and when we see it, I will point it out and how it's not working properly. But for now, we know that with our health full, the bread will not work. So should we have spun right now, the bread would stay at 5 because the health is full. The last thing we didn't talk about here is the magic wand. It does 7 damage, which is populated here, but it consumes 2 magic, which is represented up here. So when we spin the wand onto the wheel, this will be reduced to 23 out of 25. The magic ring restores up to 4 magic, but it activates before the wand. So if we were to spin right now, this ring would try to restore our magic, so it would stay at 25 to 25. Then the wand would drain the magic for 2 to activate and put 7 damage here. So at the end of our spin, we would have 23 out of 25. That's everything going on our side of the screen. Let's look at our enemy. So we have the Ratfolk Druid. He has 30 of 30 health. He has a question mark above his head. The question mark above his head represents his next move. When we spin, we attack first. If we kill our enemy and get their health to 0, they do not get a counterattack. If we leave them with any health, they get a counterattack. The question mark is a special move. He is not going to attack us now. So this is a free spin for us. So the minimum we're going to do, since he has no shield blocking his health, we'll minimally do 12 damage directly to his hit points. So that would bring him down to 18. The most we said we could do is 14 should the ring be adjacent to the wand. So we could get him down to 16 health right now. Since he's not attacking, our shield will stay at 8. So let's predict everything that's going to happen. The health will stay the same because he's not attacking. So the bread will not be used and will stay at 5. The sword will populate here with the number 5. This will populate here with the number 7. If it's adjacent to the ring, it will turn it to a 9. We will deal 12 or 14 damage, bringing him down to either 16 or 18 health. And the shield will populate here with the 7, boosted by 1 by the plated armor, bringing it to an 8, which will remain 8 since he will not be attacking. And something on his side will happen since he has a question mark. So let's spin and see how much of what we predicted comes true. And everything came true. So let's just pick up where we left off and predict again. So we know the minimum damage we're going to do yet again, since nothing's changed on our side, is either 12 or 14 should the ring and the wand synergize. So the best we'll do is take him down to 4 health. The worst we'll do is take him down to 6. The shield and the sword are now above his head. So we're still only going to be able to roll an 8 armor. He's going to do 6 damage. That comes off the armor first. If he gets our armor to 0, then any remaining attack he had would come off our health. Since he will not penetrate our armor will drop to a 2 next time. His armor of 4 is not protecting his health. So all the damage we do right now will come straight off his hit points. However, since we cannot kill him on his counterattack, when he cannot harm us because our shield will block him and leave a +2, his shield will come down and protect his remaining health next spin with a +4 shield. Our numbers reset. So our shield or armor does not increase every spin. So if we have 8 left over after this spin, it will be reset to 0 and it will repopulate with 8. His, on the other hand, from what I've seen, if they can get a shield down here strong enough to prevent our attack, then another shield could come down and bolster that current shield. So we are at a disadvantage when it comes to armor. They are at a definite advantage when it comes to stacking armor, let's say. So let's go ahead and go again. We know the mana or magic will be replaced, but yet taken back to 23. We know he cannot harm us, so our health will stay the same. Our bread will not be used. Our numbers will be either 5 with a 7 or a 9. An 8 will be here, drop down to a 2. His health will go down to either 4 or 6, and the 4 shield will be in front of it. So there we go. We did the minimum damage. He is dead. He will not get a counterattack because we are going to do a minimum of 12 damage, and his health and armor combined are only 10. So there's no reason for us to count, even just for this tutorial. It's just evident he's dead. The one thing we haven't talked about before, well, there's a couple actually. What's going to happen now is when he dies, a couple things are going to happen. First, we have full health. Because we have the hero bonus, Divine Grace, if our health is full, we gain 3 maximum hit points. So when we kill the druid, our health goes to 68 out of 68 because of this. If our health wasn't full, then we would just replace 10% of our health. Our magic will still be 23 of 25 because the ring will replenish, the wand will remove, our gold will go up, but a lyric sword has a unique property that when you kill an enemy, its damage will go up. The damage here will still show 5 because that's the sword's property. However, when the sword is pulled into the slot machine, we will see a +1 similar to the 5 here, but the +1 will indicate that it has a power up level of +1 to its original damage. And then we will have a reward screen. We won't be able to see the sword till next round, but I just wanted to show you that even that can be predicted once you know what to look for. So let's spin and kill him. Let's get our bonus to our health from the Divine Grace. There, to 68. We got a little bit of gold. He's dead. You can see he did not hit our shield. There was no counter attack. So we have 4 items to choose from, and now we have 2 ranged items. And I'm really glad we do. So let's talk about the options we have. So we can select one of the 3. We can re-roll or we can skip. Well, we're on our first battle. Why would we skip? We have a practical empty inventory. We need things to advance us. Armor would be nice, but doing more damage now is also beneficial. So whichever way, we can progress, we would. The bow deals 12 damage. This sword does 5. I mean, just looking at the numbers, you'd think, okay, I want the 12 damage. But then you realize that you need an additional item, a quiver with arrows, to do any damage. So until we got a quiver, this bow is effectively a 0. When you get a quiver, much like the ring and the wand, you still need them to be adjacent. If the bow were to line up at the top right and the quiver at the bottom left, the bow does not fire. We still get a 0. So just because this number is almost 100, almost 2.5 times what the sword is, it isn't necessarily 2.5 times better, especially if you don't have arrows. The sword, you'll notice, it calls it a spell blade, but it's going to deal strength damage, represented by the brown sword. So this would not be boosted by that magic ring, because that boosts magic items. This is not one of those. If we found an item that boosted strength weapons, then this would benefit. But this has a unique property. Not only is it going to deal direct damage to our enemy in the strength category, it also restores 5 magic. So by having this, we get a double benefit, double-edged sword, of attacking and restoring our magic, allowing us to have more magic items. Shinobi Kunai is a unique kind of item in so much, well, it's a agility item, to stick with the game's terminology. It's an agility item, so that would give us damage we don't currently have. It's a +4 to damage, so it would populate the bow icon in that vertical bar with the +4. But it can be stored in a unique item called Shinobi's Belt. So if we put this in our inventory, we'll take whichever one of these we choose. We're going to take one of these placeholder dots out, our inventory will go to 6, the dots will go to 14. If we found a Shinobi's Belt, which would also take up an inventory spot, when these appear together on the slot machine, any Shinobi item goes in the Shinobi Belt, taking up less inventory spots. So if we could find 5 or 6 Shinobi items, all dealing 4 damage, then we could have 20 or 24 damage coming just from the Shinobi Belt, effectively dealing the damage of 5 or 6 items, but only taking up 1 inventory space. So this can be a very powerful thing if you have many Shinobi items and a Shinobi Belt. But if you have many Shinobi items without the belt, it can be a very weak thing because you have small damage items taking up much inventory spots. So that's the idea of strategies and synergies that many people will be talking about. The same as having strength weapons that synergize with something that boosts the attack of strength, or the way our magic ring boosts the attack of magic weapons. It would not synergize with the spell blade the way it does with the, I think it's a adept wand. I can't remember what kind of wand that is, but I think everyone understands. So rerolls at this point for me are not an option. We're way too early, and rerolls have to last us the whole way through the map. So rerolling now a couple times could take away from if we open that chest and want to reroll, or even if we wanted to reroll here, we might be able to buy, if we could afford all the things we want, we might be able to buy rerolls in the shop. But sometimes you find something you want and you don't have money left for a reroll, and then we wouldn't have any for the boss should we spend our 3 before then. So I think we can choose from these 3. The bow is out. I'm not a fan of the bow build. I've done them. They can be very powerful, especially if you get a lot of quivers and a variety of them with different damages that synergize well with some of the bows. But, you're really playing catch up between getting the quivers and the bows populated enough where they fire consistently. So for me, it really comes down to, it's difference in 1 damage. At this point, we don't need the extra restoration for magic, and it'd be fun to get a Shinobi's Belt. I'd probably do the Shinobi items. So let's go ahead and do that. Plus, it'll show us the ranged or agility. So let's go into the next battle. Now let's quickly apply everything that we have talked about from the previous battle and add in a few more things, because there will be, you'll notice already, new features that we haven't seen before. So we now have the Shinobi item in here. So now our inventory is up to 6. We are down to 14 placeholders. We did get the max health, as we said, and a little bit of gold. We did get a +1, as we said, not a number 1 like it's going to disappear, but in addition to bring it up to a 6 damage. It does say 5 as we predicted over here. So now we have 6 damage in strength. We now have 4 damage in agility. So there's 10. We'll still have 7 or 9. So now we're doing minimum 17, maximum 19 damage. Straight to his health since he has no shield. So we're taking him down to 13 or 15 health immediately. We will not be using the bread. So it's all going to depend. And we will have 8 between the 7 and the +1. He's dealing a 5, so that will come down to 3. This is a debuff. So let me explain briefly what this means and where we might see them in the future. So that broken sword icon surrounded by the red border signifies debuff. A debuff for him will appear under us right here below the slot machine. Debuffs on our side weaken or harm us. If we had a debuff to put on him, it would also have a red border and it would appear under his health and it would weaken or harm him. If you have a buff, that will have a green border around it, and our buff would be under our slot machine, and it would bolster us in some way. It would help us. If he had a buff, it would be in a green border, and it would be under his health, and it would help him. So we should see more examples of this, but right now, it's not taking immediate effect because he hasn't played it yet. So we will strike, we will take him down, and then he will not get through our shield. He will only get it down to 3, and he will put this debuff over here, and we will be able to see what it is. So we said we were going to do 17 or 19 damage, so he will be 13 or 15. This will still go down to 23. This will stay the same. I think you all get it by now. Let's just roll and see how everything works. So we did the minimum damage we could at 17 because the ring and the wand did not synergize because they were not adjacent. Our Shinobi Kunai populated agility as we thought. Add them all up. 17. 32 minus 17 is 15. He attacked for 5 on our 8 shield, brought it down to 3. Our magic was reduced by the wand as we knew it would be. Since our health didn't need any bread, it did not consume any. He also put the broken sword debuff on us. Now we can see that is weakness, and it reduces our damage by 2% for each stack to a maximum of 60%. Currently we are reduced by 4%, and this does not dissipate. It does not reduce as we progress. So the more times he can put this weakness on us, the weaker our damage and our attacks become. At 4%, it's not going to take off from our damage indicators. However, if this were 40% and we were to roll the sword over here, it would show the 6 and then it would take 40% off that when we rolled. We know how much damage we can already do. He has no shield. The minimum we can do is 17. He's already dead. So we don't need to even worry about him anymore. But this is another debuff he was getting ready to put on us. And we can already see this was going to weaken our armor. And it holds that same number 2, which holds the same percentage, which is 4%. This is very weak. When you start getting them putting on 10% at the beginning, our attacks and our armor quickly make us susceptible, especially to stronger opponents like elite purple skulls and bosses. So this is why you sometimes will need to be overpowered even for something that you should normally be able to take out when they start buffing themselves or debuffing you. But we know he's dead already, so we know our health will go up to 71 out of 71. We know we'll get gold. We know he cannot counterattack us. We know this cannot harm us, and it will not take away from our damage. We know Alaric Sword will go up to a +2 to give us +2 and +5, which would be +7, which will next battle populate here. So our attack is going up just from that. Bread will not be used. And let's go. Let's just end him and get a little more gold too while we're at it. So heavy crossbow, we have the same issue. We have no quivers. So even if we had picked up that last bow, we'd be at that position where we could add the crossbow, which would give us a 32 damage between this 20 and the other 12, and we wouldn't have an arrow to shoot from it, so we'd have 2 items that do no damage. The longsword is another strength item, and it deals 10 damage, but it does it every 2 spins. So effectively, it's only dealing 5 damage per spin, but we don't even see the 5 damage until the second spin. So I'm not a fan. Also, we don't need more food. We're not using the food we're currently using. So here I am going to do a respin, because none of these are an option for me. Reroll. Now, the bow is out, as we've already said 2 times before. We still have no arrows. It's worthless. We have the throwing knife. Now, this is different than the shinobi in that it cannot be put in the shinobi's belt. But it's also different from other agility weapons in that they can be combined with each other. So up to 5 throwing knives can be combined. They only deal 2 damage, but they put a debuff of bleed for 2 points on our enemy. So if we can stack a lot of debuffs on our enemy, like bleed, burn, those ignore armor. So that can be a very powerful thing. There's other items that synergize and can actually boost the damage that debuffs do or increase them. So 4 damage, if we just count 2 damage plus 2 bleed, is extremely weak. Even in this first stage, it's not strong. Even combining 5 throwing knives together, we're still looking at a combined 10 damage, 10 bleed. Maybe that's good for the first 2 or 3 stages, but as we progress, it's definitely not going to be a very strong item. Not that this Adept Wand is going to be much better. The 1 hit point that it heals is very weak. And the 5 damage is not strong either. But we already have something restoring 4 magic, and we are only consuming 2. We have a ring that could boost this another 2 points as well, which will give this a 7. We have nothing to boost agility. So for me at the moment, I'm going to go with the Adept Wand. Especially since we're not going to play this through to the 3rd or the 4th stage. So let's move quicker now than we did definitely the first and even the second battle. And we've added another 5 damage. So now instead of going down to 23, the magic will go down to 21. We know we're going to be doing an additional minimum 5 damage. So 5 plus 7 is 12. We know Alaric Sword, even though it says 5 here, has a plus 2 for 7. We know the Shinobi Kunai will still be doing a 4. So we're going to have 7 plus 4 is 11, plus 12 is 23. So now we're doing a minimum of 23 damage. If one wand synergizes with the ring, it'll be 25. If both wands synergize with the ring, it'll be 27. So we're doing between 23 and 27 damage. So theoretically, with just his hit points, 2 27s or a 27 and a 25 would kill him 2 spins. But we can see now he's doing something the others, the first battle didn't. He's bringing a shield down to protect his health. So he will attack for 8, which will be blocked by our only shield. So he will remove our shield but not get to our health. But he is going to protect his health after our first attack. So our first attack will come directly off his hit point pool. Our second one will be blocked, and we cannot kill him in 2 spins because of that. We had a chance, but that will stop us. So now he is a 3-spin kill. These are not things you need to calculate, but this calculating like this, especially if you keep finding yourself getting crushed in the same place, you might be able to calculate what you've done on your side if you take it a little slower and make a strategy for how you're going to get past where you're stuck, is my hope. So we know it's going to take 3 spins. If he boosts his attack, he's going to get through our shield and start taking directly off our health. So let's just go and see what happens for the first spin. We should take him down around half health, a little bit under maybe, a little over actually. So we could count the numbers. We did 23, which is the bare minimum since the ring didn't synergize with either of the wands. Now he's protected. Now he has basically 34 health. And he's ready to bring his armor of 5 back down next spin. But we'll definitely take it off. And he's still only going to deal 8. So he's not going to affect our health, at least this spin. So he'll be practically dead. He can't hurt us. And now this spin will obviously kill him because the minimum we can do is 23. But now we see if we don't get armor now, we will start taking damage the very next time. So we have to increase our armor if we do not want to take damage. So we will increase our max health again since he cannot counterattack. And we'll get some more gold. This Alaric sword will go up to a +3 for a total of 8 in the future, and the bread won't be used. Perfect. Now the plated boots, they're a shield. They give us a +5, but that turns into a +6 because of our plated armor boon with the +1. So it would be +6 +8 from our original shield. So we'd have a +14. However, this one has a unique property that it gives a +2 armor for each space above. That means the lower it comes in on the wheel, the more armor it gives us. So at the top, it would give us the bare minimum of 6, 5 + 1. The next row, second from the top, it would increase that by 2 to 8, then by 10, and the bottom row would give it a +12 to armor. So minimum we would get it to be a 6, the maximum we could get is a +12. I will say I do not know how the boots work, but I know at least 2 of the armor items that are not giving the space bonuses. So until that's patched, or even after, you might want to just keep an eye on these every once in a while and make sure that you are getting the boost you're looking for, because that could end your run if you're thinking that you've got enough armor and you're consistently coming up with less than you think. The other thing is it is a +1 to any strength weapon adjacent to it. And we do have Alaric sword, which is a strength weapon. So for now, let's take it and see if the plated boots work properly, because we know how to calculate what's going to happen. So we have one more battle. We'll go in here. Now see, he's doing 13. So if we didn't have the plated boots giving us that minimum +6 to get us to 14, we'd already be taking 5 damage with just, the 8 shield. So it was necessary. We knew it was coming up. It was absolutely necessary for us to start boosting our armor. He's getting ready to hit us with a debuff after he attacks and doesn't hurt us, which is going to reduce our armor. So all of our attack will come straight off of his health. We can already do the math if we want. We know this is up to a +8 with that +3 from killing 3 enemies. That will populate here. So we have 8 +4 is 12, +7 is 19, +5. The minimum we can do now is 24, so we can do 24, 26, or 28. So if we could hit 2 maximum rolls of 28 and he doesn't bring a shield down to protect himself next time, we can kill him in 2 spins. Otherwise, it's 3 spins. So let's just spin, since he can't hurt us, and see what happens. Well, it wouldn't matter even if he could hurt us. I'm just saying there's nothing else to calculate. We know he can't hurt us. He only took 13 off. Again, he won't be able to hurt us. Now this debuff is doing 6% to our armor. 6% of, what are we doing? Okay, wait, we said we could calculate this. So this should have been added to, so 16 minus 13, perfect. It worked exactly as it was supposed to. So this one did give us the +2 bonus for being down 1 below the top line. So good, this is working correctly. So with these reductions in armor, we need these boots down lower. And that is going to not hurt us, because it did not take it low enough. It took it to 13 and he hit us with 13. So next time, because we have another stack of frail on us for a total of 6, if those boots, we'll kill him. But if if we weren't going to kill him, those boots would need to be lower, or else his +13 would go through our shield. If those boots hit up there again and we didn't kill him and he counterattacked, we would take damage. So we're good because we're going to kill him. So our health will go up to 77, our gold will go up, a lyric sword will go up. Let's just kill him and move on with our lives. The good news is I didn't have to see the bread not work right, but I will say now, right now, what's happening with the bread is it will not activate until 3 hit points are off your health. So if we had 76 health and the bread was rolled, it wouldn't restore our health. And if we killed our enemy, we would miss our 3 maximum hit points. So good thing is this run, that didn't happen. The better thing this run is we found the bronze key right before we got to the gold chest. However, there's also a nice straight up 10 armor we could just take and be ready to advance across the map. For me, I'm a sucker for keys. Let's open the chest. So the key was in our inventory. The key is out of our inventory. 119 gold, and we got a rare item. A golden key. Would you look at that? Used open chests on a map. Infinite uses. Bow that's absolutely worthless without arrows, and a cookie. We haven't even eaten our bread. Why are we going to start eating on cookies? Golden key. Even though we wouldn't use it on this map, we'll be able to use it on any stage we go to from here on. So why wouldn't we pick up a golden key? So let's go in the shop and let me try to explain runes. Oh, we can buy one. We can actually buy one. So I could show you. But let's just talk about the shop. So the symbols are where we would find inventory items. And here we have a strength item of 3. We have a magic item that applies debuffs. So that could be something like burn or bleed or poison. So this will apply 5 stacks, which just means like 5 burn, 5 poison, 5 bleed randomly. And it consumes 5 of our magic. So here's a feeble wand, which the weakness and the frail are what we've been having put on us that makes our attacks and our armor weaker. So this is a very feeble wand in that it only does stacks of 2. But everything adds up. And what starts off as 2 and 2 becomes 10 and 10. And then we have an assassin shiv. Now this is not a shinobi item, so it would not go in shinobi's belt. And it's not like the throwing knife. It does not combine with other shivs. So this is just, a solid inventory spot. But it does do 6 damage and applies 3 bleed. This is a fire staff. It deals 6 damage and applies 6 burn and only consumes 3 magic. So to me, that would be interesting because we've already kind of started down a magic build path. I would probably be inclined to get that. Maybe. The bronze helmet. Here we go again with the, little bit of armor, but you can get a little bit of bonus for how it lines up in the slot machine. The services, we can buy remove symbol. We can buy a symbol re-roll, so we'd be able to re-roll again on the reward selection page. If we needed health, we can restore up to 30 health and magic at the same time. And we can also re-roll everything in the shop. These prices do increase as you buy them. Last are the runes, which we haven't talked about, and that's why we came to the shop, so we could kind of finish on the runes. And what these are is, and you cannot sell these things back, the inventory or the runes, but you can just discard runes, and it even shows click the left mouse button on it to use it, click the right mouse button to discard it. So if we had a rune we didn't want, we could right mouse button click it, discard it, and it would open up space should we be full of 3 of them for a different rune. So the only one we could afford is this one. But let's talk about all of them. So this is a rune of hemorrhage. It's rare, so it's a little bit stronger, although it is minor. So maybe it's not that strong. But it applies 12 bleed, which is a debuff. So that would show up with a red border under our enemy. And bleed ignores armor. So that would directly come off the health no matter what we did or didn't do to their armor. And it also diminishes every spin. So while it would put 12 on him when we were to click the rune, should we remember to click it when we wanted to start the battle, it would put 12 on, but then it would remove so many of the stack each spin. So you want to try to find items that would continue to stack bleed or poison or such. So Shinobi's item didn't, but there possibly have been other items. Here, the Assassin's Shiv would. So if we had the Assassin's Shiv, which applies 3 bleed, and we combine it with this and click this rune, we'd apply 15 bleed from the start. And then as the bleed started to dissipate or degrade, every time we rolled the Shiv, it would keep stacking more onto the pile. This rune of power gives us power, which increases our damage indicators by 1 for each item, I believe. So it will explain when it's shown as a buff in green under us, because that's what this rune would do. It would buff us since it's a power. This is a rune of oblivion, and only to regular or brown skull enemies it would do 200 damage. But this is only once per stage. This is every 5 battles. This is every 3 battles. You can see that near the bottom. Can be used every 3 battles, every 5 battles, and once per stage. This would not work on a boss or on the elite enemies. So for me, I don't need that. This wouldn't be bad going into a boss battle, but we can't afford it. This wouldn't be bad going into a boss battle. Can't afford it. So I think we will just go ahead and take the fire staff to up our damage a little, since we've already upped our armor a little. And I think we'll avoid this for now. In fact, I think we'll avoid all of this for now and just save our money. So let's leave the shop. Now here is, we could choose either one of these, or we could choose both by going up and back. But I would probably go for the chest. Even though you're avoiding this, it's just a free item to choose from or skip. And I'd rather go into the boss battle without risking finding someone stronger than I'd like, especially since they're on the far right side, meaning they're already going to be stronger, and then they're a red skull. So let's go in here, and we know we've seen the Ratfolk Druid. We know it's going to turn into the Wild Boar. Let's go ahead and just do a round. Let's spin real fast without trying to count everything. But we see a Lyric Sword is now doing a +4 for 9. And it went up to 10 because of the boots synergized, and it gave a +1 to strength weapon. So that's how that went to a 10. We knew that the Shinobi would do a 4. We did not find a Shinobi's belt yet. The 2 wands did not synergize with, these 2 wands, I should say, did not synergize with the ring. So those were a +12. This is a +6 for 18, but it did synergize. So it got an additional 2. There's our 20. So here we have a total of 34, and we did a total of 40 damage. So we put burn on for 6. So 34 plus 6 is 40. So there's the 40 damage. And then the burn lost 1/3 of its stack. So it had 6, it went down 33% to 4. So that's everything that happened with our attack. And then our shields held up to his non-attack at full strength, and we got the worst possible roll in that the boots landed at the top, where we want them to land at the bottom to give us the most protection we can get. So even at our weakest, he cannot damage us this next spin, because at our weakest we'll do a 14 protection, he'll do a 13. So for another spin we're safe. For another spin we get a complete attack on his hit points, since his shield has yet to come down, and we'll also be stacking 6 more burn to bring that up to 10, which will come off of him. And then that will come down by 1/3, so it'll drop to 7. So, and we're starting to lose magic because we're using more, 2, 2, and 3. We're using 7, and we're only replenishing 4. So in the future, we need to quickly find an item that replenishes magic. Maybe even before the boss battle, if possible. So we can't get hurt. He's going to take the full brunt of damage. He took the 10 burn. It reduced to 7, as we knew. Our shields were at 20 because the boots were on the bottom. So he didn't even come close to getting through him that time. And he's dead. We know he cannot survive. We will do significantly more than 19 damage. So our health will go back up. A Lyric Sword will go to a +10. The bread will remain uneaten. And we'll get a little bit of gold. And we'll get to choose a reward. This is a problem for us. Maybe not immediately, but we're to the point, the more magic items we keep adding, the quicker you can see our magic's at 14 to 25. And we got a boss battle coming up. If we're tapping into that magic more, it's going to be a big problem. Especially this one consumes 3. This one consumes 2. Now this will do an additional damage for every 10 points of maximum magic. So this will be doing a +8. This puts burn on, so it would add to our stack of burn. And it consumes 2. I think we re-roll. It'll be nice to go into a boss battle with the extra damage, but coming up. But I say let's take one reroll and see what we get. Wow. All right. I would like to add the shinobi and try to find a shinobi belt, but I would actually lean toward this. It'll do the 5 strength damage. It could synergize with those armor boots and give it a +6, and it's going to restore the magic we're currently using. So let's grab that for now, and we could always remove it. Let's go to the chest for a free item and see what we get. 47 gold. And we will take the shield. We're still way under our inventory limit, and we need more protection going into a boss battle. So that was good. And it won't hurt us for this brown skull. Now he's going to have rage, which will appear as him under him as a buff, since it has the green border, and it's going to increase his power, which will increase his attack. So it's a good thing we picked up armor. So all of our damage is going to come straight off of his health, and we don't need to calculate it. We can just watch it now. And our key shows up on our inventory, so that counts as a spot. So the longer we want to keep that gold key to open up gold chests, it's got a chance, even after we go over 20 inventory spots, of popping into our battle screen and taking up another slot. That a damage dealer or a protective item or a restorative item could have benefited from more. So right off, look at that. We took just over half his health. We did significant damage. The sword was boosted by the armor boots, the plated boots, and the ring did not boost the spell blade, but the boots did, because that is a strength weapon. So both these were boosted. That's why you get the yellow +1 at the top right. They were both boosted as a strength item, and so we got 17. So that was a nice boost, but the wands regrettably all missed the ring. So let's continue. Now he raged on us. He has burn on him, so that'll also take off his health. But now he's doing 10% more damage for his attack. And he's getting ready to do 20% if we don't kill him this spin. And we do. And our health went up to 83. Got a little more gold. And now we have a bomb. And we're going to just go ahead and take it, because I'd rather save the reroll. I don't care for the rusty cleaver, and I don't want another linen cap. So let's take the bomb, since our very next battle is the boss. And we'll immediately do 60 damage to the boss. And that's where we'll end. So let's just, okay, here comes a debuff. We know that because it's surrounded with that red border. So we know that's going to stack under us and do harm to us. And bleed ignores armor. So even though our armor will do complete protection now that we have more of it against his sword, most likely, we're going to take damage because of the bleed. So we did 28 protection, so his sword cannot get through. We put the burn on him. He swung, he missed, but we're going to take 3 bleed damage on this roll, and he's getting ready to hit us with a poison debuff. So that will appear under us next. So the bleed will deal 1 damage, and it'll lose 1 stack, and it ignores armor. So he'll take us down to 80. This will diminish to 1, and then the poison will come over. And his attack still will not get through our... He has no attack this time. There's no red sword, no attack. It seems the bleed doubled it. It doubled the bleed, right? Actually, it tripled it. It was a plus. Let's spin again. I want to see what that bleed said. That did a 9 damage on us. Bring your bleed back over here, buddy. There it is. The poison hit us. Deals 1 damage for every action performed per stack. I guess each one of these are counting as an action. I never really paid attention to that. But it looks like each one of these count as an action. So it's going to deal 9 damage. That's huge against us. Because he doesn't deal 3 actions like we do. So that'll take another 9 off of us plus 1 for the poison. And he's getting ready to rage. So no attack this time at least. And it's a free hit on his health. But this is going to take 10 points off. We should go down to 65. Oh wait, we healed from the bread. And then it came down. We have another item that healed us. Yeah, this heals for 1. So the bread healed us for 3. This healed us for 1. It took us up 4. And then he took us down 10. Lovely. Okay. Now he's dealing 33 damage. We are probably not going to put up that level of a shield. So he will get through with his attack. And then the bleed will stack for the next spin. Because we will not kill him. So he will get through the shield easily, do 11 damage. So down to 65. The bleed comes over here. So when we roll this time, we will take, we have no more bread. So we'll heal 1 up to 60. No, I'm sorry, we do. So we'll heal 4 up to 69, and then we'll drop down by 9. So it should end up at 60. Let's see, and then the poison will come over here as a debuff. Why did it only go... There it is, down to 60. Okay. So, like I said, we can predict this once we understand how all these buffs, debuffs, and attacks are working. So, yet again, we cannot block a 33 damage. This is the most damage we can block because the boots lined up at the absolute bottom and we got the full bonus for having the 3 spaces above it. So at best he'll only do 5 direct damage to us. At worst he'll do 11 direct damage to us. The poison is going to hit us as well. We'll consume our last bread, and we'll get 1 point for that. And I take it all back, because you all may have noticed already, and I've completely ignored, he's dead. So no more damage. This should kill him. Yes, thank you. Okay. So we do not get the max HP bonus, but who cares? It's a boss. We got the arrows we don't want. We can get 250 gold. Now, it is not immediately put in your gold. You do have to go to a battle, and it has to appear on the wheel, and then it will. This one would immediately be put into your gold stack. But if you think you're going to make it a lot farther, this would turn out to be a lot better, because every single spin you'll be getting 10 gold out of your enemy. So, just 25 spins and you've already gotten this far. And, you'll spend a lot more than 25 spins getting through one stage, I would have to think. So, for me, the Thief Glove is a no-brainer. It's a great way to make money. So, I hope that explains the battle screen correctly and fully. I stumbled a little there with the debuff and how the bleed worked, but I think we figured it out. So, I agree with the people who say, don't worry about it, just spin. The game takes care of it for you. But I'm not one of those people who just wants to play a game like this ignorantly. I want to understand it. And if you watched this whole thing, I'm so sorry for you. That was a long time. I don't know how I could have made it any shorter, but been so comprehensive. So regardless, if you watched any or all of it, thank you. Comments down below. If I made some mistakes, please let me know. If you're a developer and you think, let me know how I did. And if you're a developer, let me know if your music is your own or if you licensed it. Because if you license it, I won't play it. But if it's your own and you tell me I could play it, I would absolutely turn the music up. So, thanks. Bye.